Hello. How's it going? You've all met with a terrible fate, haven't you? Yes, I am wearing Majora's Mask on my face. I might be possessed. But the thing is, that it's up to you to decide if I've met with a terrible fate. But, have any of you? You decide for that matter. Oh. So the evil has left the mask after all. Wow. That's unfortunate. We're going to seal you away, good sir. Okay, but hello everyone. Welcome on in. Welcome to my first ever discussion stream. To where I talk about all things Zelda. For these kind of streams, we do talk about theories, lore, Majora's Mask. Theories, lore, Easter eggs, and all that kind of stuff. It's very similar, to what I do for Zelda Trivia on Twitch for Triforce Tuesdays, which, by the way, thank y'all so much, for tuning in to those. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate everybody turning in today. So, I decided, what better way to talk about it, to celebrate Spooktober, is we are going to be talking about all things Majora's Mask. So, but I know for a fact that I will not be alone. I definitely will bring my guests out in just a minute. But first, I know I need to make sure I got my music ready, because I do not have my music ready for this discussion. I do not have that ready, but give me a second though. But welcome in, Paul. Oh, looks like somebody's been watching too much Mad Pet. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and get this. Hope everybody is having a good day so far. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and put in some music. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, there it goes. Okay. It's kind of where just a minute. There we go. Got it. Alright, so it is time to do something very special. So, without further ado, I'm about to bring out my special guest. You guys know him. He is a really great friend of mine. He also monsters me. So everyone, please give it up for Sora850.
Yo, hello. How's it going?
It is going good. Sora, how are you feeling on this fine Spooktober month?
Feeling pretty good today. Not too much went on, aside from a visit from my family earlier, which kind of unexpectedly turned into a Mario Kart pizza party out of nowhere.
I feel ya.
But, yeah, it's been chill other than that.
That's good. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Let me get my water.
Also, as you guys can see on screen, I took over Kokiri's bed.
Okay.
It's mine now.
It's yours now? Your drink? So,
Oh, you didn't hear the first half of that sentence. Good.
No. I mean, this will be uploaded pretty soon, so I'll definitely will get back to know what you just said. But
should I tell him what I said, or should I just let him find out on his own?
I'll probably will find on my own. Yeah. By the way, y'all, let me know if y'all can hear Sora in the music. If I need to turn down the music, definitely feel free to let me know. See if you can hear both of us and him. Yeah, especially Sora. You gotta make sure we do hear Sora.
Yes.
But so Sora, why are we here today?
We are here to discuss all things Majora's Mask.
Yes.
We're talking about my precious child today.
His precious child. But
yes.
So today, we are gonna be talking about the mysteries of Majora's Mask, and Sora is gonna be with me today, saying that we are gonna be talking about all things Majora's Mask. We're gonna talk about some theories, some lore, in terms of like characters, like all things like what's going on in Termina and Clocktown, all that good stuff. we're gonna really dive into it. But Marmar, welcome on in. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, welcome in, Marmar. We're doing pretty good. Hoping you're doing well.
Exactly. We're just here to unravel a really dark game today. So, by the way, if anybody is watching this on YouTube as we speak for Spooktober month, please do both of us a favor by liking, sharing, subscribing, all that jazz. If you guys love all things Zelda, and also you should definitely like and subscribe if you are a Majora's Mask fan. On top of that,
yes, definitely.
Okay, so before we get started, Sora, I'm gonna let this come to you. So, how did you get involved in all things Majora's Mask? Like, where did it all begin with you?
The way I got into Majora's Mask, it was around the year the game came out, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I was at my grandmother's house, and I was actually playing with my cousins next door, and we got to talking about stuff, and next thing you know, he hands me a box of hand-me-down stuff.
Yeah.
And inside this box was actually his old Nintendo 64, along with a bunch of games for it.
Ooh.
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were both the games in there. And this was actually how I got my first copies of the game, because they were actually the very original cartridges for those games. So, after, he just decided he didn't want them anymore, for some reason, but yeah, he pawned them off on me, and I hooked it up, I hooked up the Nintendo 64, and I played Ocarina of Time all the way through, in maybe 2 or 3 days, and afterwards, I jumped right into Majora's Mask.
Mm-hmm.
And what captivated me with Majora's Mask was I was shocked at how different it was. Compared to Ocarina of Time, I was just like, wait, what? From the very beginning, the tone of the game was just dark and gruesome. Because, you see Link going through the woods on Epona. It hints that he's looking for Navi. That was never officially confirmed, but I'm going with that.
Yeah.
He's looking for Navi. He gets attacked by the Skull Kid and the 2 fairies with him. And then he takes off stealing both his horse and the ocarina. And you literally see, just the forest alone was, a much darker tone than Ocarina of Time's right off the bat. And so I was, very intrigued. And as I progressed further into the game and Link gets cursed into a Deku Scrub, I'm like, okay, this is kind of dark now.
Oh, yeah.
The game just got very dark from the get-go, and I was super intrigued by, everything. The story was a strong start. The world already had me sold just on the dark tone I saw. And, the crap of the Skull Kid, I wanted to kill that Skull Kid so bad.
Oh, believe me. We all wanted to kick his ass.
Yep. And my first time, I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit here, but fast forwarding to when I finally beat the game, I was scared of the final boss when I first encountered it.
Mm-hmm.
He terrified me. The mask floating around with all those tentacles coming out, I was like, oh my lord.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and when I thought I beat him, here he comes transforming into the frickin' dancing one, and I'm sitting here face-palming, what the heck is this? You go from dark and scary to frickin' Michael Jackson on steroids here. Because, that boss moonwalked a lot, and I mean a lot, and I kid you not, I think the first time that he actually killed me with a ballerina dance, and I was like, what? I was not too happy with that.
I guess you can say you got hit by a smooth criminal?
Yes. That's exactly it. But, yeah, so afterwards, I got my sweet revenge by killing him back, and then I see Majora's Wrath the first time, and I'm terrified as heck, because he's literally swinging whips at me, and, just the freaking look on his face with the one eye, and, just the look on his face with his teeth, I was like, oh, heck no.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so, needless to say, Final Boss really scared me the first time.
Yeah.
But I was all over it. I think I did lose to him a couple times because I didn't know what I was doing back then. But Yeah, like afterwards, I was super like hooked. Like I replayed the game several times after that. I just loved it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Despite how much it scared the crap out of me, but that's beside the point.
And then later on down the line, it became your favorite Zelda game of all time until a certain Tears of the Kingdom came to kick it off the throne.
Yeah, well, Majora's Mask became my favorite Zelda game immediately after I beat it the first time.
Yeah.
Like, it left that big of an impression on me. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom took #1 recently, but no other game actually beat it before then.
Interesting. Okay. I actually like that story. Like, it really does show that you do have a really huge impact on it. That's pretty good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So now the question is, how did you get into it?
Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so you guys know I talked about this before that Ocarina of Time was my first Zelda game. That's where my name came from because of Ocarina of Time I was born to be the Zelda fan I am today. So with Ocarina of Time being the first Zelda game I've ever played, Majora's Mask was the first game I ever owned. So for the time being, you know, I really loved Ocarina of Time. Like, I didn't get a chance to rent it at all. Like, I would usually go to, like, friends' houses or family members' houses, and they would have a copy of Ocarina of Time, but they wouldn't let me play it. So,
wow.
I decided, I remember I went to a Toys R Us, because I actually saw, like, a promo VHS videotape. They were showing, beta footage of, like, old video games. And, there was 2 games on that tape. There was Banjo-Tooie, the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie. And then, of course, there was Majora's Mask. And I was like, wow, this actually looks really cool. So, I remember I went to my parents took me to Toys R Us. And they didn't have Ocarina of Time, but they had Majora's Mask. And I'm going to show this on camera. This is the same cartridge that I've had from long ago when I was a little boy, around the time that it came out. It is the golden holographic limited edition cartridge that I've had since the early 2000s.
That's the cartridge I owned when I had it on N64. Literally the same one.
And the fun fact is, this cartridge actually still works.
Dang, it still works?
It still works to this day. It's still good, and I still have my 100% save file.
Let's go.
Also, welcome in, Ivy. Welcome in.
Yo, welcome in, Ivy.
So, back to my story. So, when I first got into it, I remember getting lost in Clocktown, I noticed, something was not right. I know, of course, I went to the Trials of the Lost Woods, and, saw Link get turned into a Deku Scrub, and it was weird for a time being. And then I remember when I did the whole 3 days, got the Ocarina of Time back, saw Zelda, learned the Song of Time, got turned back into a kid. I remember I got so lost, I didn't even know what to do, and then I, immediately gave up. But I do have a story that happened a long time ago, and this was creepy. So you know how around the beginning to where when you start moving Link, you go to, you start the chase to where you have to go all the way to that pit?
Yes.
So I remember when I was about to start, and I had all my 3 hearts, guess what happened? Without barely touching the controller or doing anything, Link actually died right in front of me.
What?
Link actually died. There was no enemy in sight. I was trying to move, and apparently I just heard the da-na-na-na-da, and then Link died.
What?
Yeah. This was the...
That had to have been some weird bug, because you can't die during that part of the game.
Yeah, I died in that scene. And it was around the time to where Link was getting up when he was passed out. It was around that time and oh, Link's dead. And there was I didn't even do nothing. And then of course I had to turn off the console and put it back up, and seconds later it was gone. But so yeah, I kind of gave up as a kid because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I remember I got a strategy guide from a half-price books, actually. From a half-price bookstore. Like an old retro bookstore. And I got it. I got it, and I would like read it all the time, knowing what I was supposed to do. And then in high school, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give it another go. So I tried it. I played it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, I get the whole like how it's not everyone's cup of tea with the whole like time mechanic and all, but pretty much at the end of the day, I really do enjoy it. And even going back to it now, like with Majora's Mask 3D, like honestly, it's definitely in my top 5 favorite Zeldas. It's definitely my top 5. Definitely for me, it's number 4 on my list.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my story. Link dying at the beginning of the game. No monsters in sight. No nothing.
That still surprises me, because like that's actually very unheard of.
It's freaking creepy. But also, Fire says he needs to play Majora's Mask. Yes, you should.
Play Majora's Mask. I don't care which version you play. 3DS, Nintendo 64, just play it.
I mean, of course,
fantastic game.
Of course, for our money, Sora and I would suggest. I mean, nothing against the 3DS version, even though it's not perfect. But Sora and I do suggest the N64 version because the lighting is the chef's kiss, and it delivers with how dark the game really is.
Yeah, well, I also think a lot of aspects about Majora's Mask are better in the N64 version as well.
Exactly. Yep.
3DS has its good quality of life improvements, but there's also some stuff about that version that drag it down. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a double-edged sword with the 3DS version.
It kind of is, though. But on top of that, so I think... So, Sora, shall we unravel the mysteries of this game? Together?
Let's.
So chat, come along with us for the ride with me and Sora as we take you to the land of Termina. Sora, are you ready to meet with the terrible fate?
Oh, I've already met with this terrible fate a long time ago, so I'm here for it.
Oh, but Sora, look. I've already met with the terrible fate a long time ago.
Well, never mind. I was gonna say don't put it on, but you put it on. Well, it's official. Majora has possessed Kokiri. Gonna have to kill him now.
Yep. Go get your sword. It's time to die.
Oh, I got my sword ready. Sora's terrible fate was having to deal with me. No, Fire. Your terrible fate is dealing with me. You got it backwards.
Okay. Oh my god.
He's gonna take you back to the path. He's gonna take you back to the path. Apparently, I'm Samurai Jack now.
Majora's Mask. Okay. So.
Majora of Kokiri.
Oh my god.
No, it's Born of Majora.
Born of Majora? Okay, so. Are we ready to unravel?
Yes, let's unravel.
Okay, so let's go in and do a recap about where it is, of course, on the timeline. So we all know, of course, due to Ocarina of Time, we did have the timeline split because of the Hero of Time pulling out the Master Sword, and thus, this caused the timeline to split into 3 separate timelines, as to where all of them played as sort of like what-if scenarios. So like, for example, like with the Fallen timeline, this is the what-if scenario as to what if Link actually died against the fight against Ganondorf, to where the Zelda and the sages had to seal Ganondorf away without Link's help. The child timeline as to what happened after the events, to where Link, Princess Zelda sends Link back into 7 years into the past to reclaim the childhood that he lost, into where the events of where Link killed Ganondorf never happened. And then, of course...
Right.
And then finally, we had the adult timeline, to where what if Link was victorious and actually killed the Great King of Evil and sealing him away? So, with that being said, we all know this game takes place in the child timeline, to where the Hero of Time is sent back 7 years into the past to reclaim the childhood that he lost, and then thus sneaks into Hyrule Castle, confronts Princess Zelda and the King of Hyrule, warning them about Ganondorf coming to Hyrule to attack. Because we all know back in Ocarina of Time, at the beginning, Zelda says that Ganondorf has come to Hyrule to swear allegiance to her father, the King of Hyrule, even though we all know that he wanted to come to Hyrule to claim the Triforce and to seek power. So, Link actually warns Princess Zelda and the King about Ganondorf coming to invade Hyrule to attack. So she does entrusts him with the Ocarina of Time and does states, "May the goddess of time protect you on your journey." And then of course,
Yeah.
And then from there, he's like, Link sets off to the Lost Woods to seek of a search of a valuable friend, which of course it's Navi. It's Navi in this case. At least we hope. Mostly that it is definitely going to be Navi until, he gets.
Never.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say never confirmed, but kind of hinted at very vaguely.
It's very hinted because at the end of Ocarina of Time, we see that Navi flies off, through the little window in the Temple of Time. So this is go ahead.
I was gonna say not only that, but at the beginning of Majora's Mask, after the dialogue where it says where he's in search of a valuable friend, you literally hear a fairy flying around.
Yeah, and it actually is the same sound from Ocarina of Time.
Yep, same exact one. Also, Fire, to answer your question, no, that is the timeline where A Link to the Past is. The one for Majora's Mask is the child timeline.
Yeah, so for that one, the one where Ganon killed Link, yeah, that's the Fallen timeline. Yeah, that's an entirely different timeline. Yeah, the child timeline which has Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords Adventures, that's where Link gets sent 7 years into the past to reclaim the childhood that he lost.
Yes.
Because when Link pulls out the Master Sword, he's placed into stasis for 7 years because he was too young to be the hero of time.
Yep. Which is a little bit odd considering that in Wind Waker he's technically the hero of time reborn, and he's still a child.
Yeah, he's still.
But yeah,
he's still a child though. But yeah, you know what? Should we just kind of show off the clip just in case, the intro clip?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do it. Let me go ahead and give me a second. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the intro. Okay. Yeah, and I'm mostly gonna be sticking to the N64 version because, we all love the.
Also, Fire, Wind Waker and Majora's Mask are on two different timelines. Wind Waker is on the adult timeline.
Correct.
And Majora's Mask is on the child timeline. Which, I still question that because none of the games in the adult timeline have you playing as adult Link. They're all child Link.
Yeah, it's because, I talked about it in Wind Waker, is that because the hero of time is completely vanished from the timeline.
I mean, I understand that. I just wish that they actually made more sense with the title.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want a refund on Adult Link.
Absolutely. Also, welcome in, Peach. Welcome on in.
Welcome in, Peach. Welcome in, Josh. How are y'all?
Welcome in, everybody. All right, so I'm about to turn into the intro. So check this out. Sorry, are you ready?
Yeah.
So so we're gonna dive deep into this one. So of course I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and read. Sora, would you like to read the dialogue, or do you want me to do it?
You go ahead and do it because I'm viewing this from your stream and it's kind of delayed on my end. So
okay, all right, I'll go ahead and read it then. All right, here we go. In the land of Hyrule, there echoes a legend held dearly by the royal family that tells of a boy.
Ooh.
A boy who, after battling evil and saving Hyrule, crept away from the land that had made him a legend. Done with the battles he once waged across time, he embarked on a journey, a secret and personal journey. A journey in search of a beloved and invaluable friend, just like what me and Sora talked about. A friend with whom he parted ways when he finally fulfilled his heroic destiny and took his place among legends. Now, if you guys know, we did hear that sound. That is definitely Navi from Ocarina of Time. So, Anyway, I will let the cutscene play. Let's watch. Spooky.
Yeah, I remember seeing this scene for the first time on the N64. I was just like, this whole tone is already different than Ocarina of Time.
Oh, it is. I love it.
I was waiting for that hey listen after fairy sound. I would have been like, oh heck no, please.
Oh, here they come.
Don't.
Here comes Shadow and Tail.
Boop.
Boop. And in comes our favorite antagonist.
Oh no, it's Michael Myers. Skull Kid with that mask is literally the Michael Myers of the Zelda universe.
Yes. Also, I kind of noticed this, but if you actually look carefully, you can actually see his eye right there. The Skull Kid's eye.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one thing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I forget which version. I don't know if it's this version or the GameCube version, but there's one point where if you look closely, you can see the Majora's Mask eye layered on top of another Majora's Mask eye in the cutscene after he takes off whenever he's cursed as a Deku.
Really? I did not know that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's when the skull. It's like literally right after he's cursed as a Deku scrub, and then the Skull Kid's like laughing at him. Like it's whenever he's laughing, you see it.
Interesting. I'll have to find out. So I could be wrong, but in the 3DS version, in the opening, I think in the 3DS version, I don't think you can barely see Skull Kid's eye, but you can see like his mouth, beak, his mouth. You can see you can see like his mouth.
I do not remember.
Yeah, I would have to show you at some point. But I know for a fact you can like see his mouth in the to where like
because I'll make you listen. Navi just killed Link. No, Navi didn't kill Link. Navi went and died.
You know, it's kind of interesting like how when you look at this scene, Sora, this is the first time that we haven't gone this deep into the Lost Woods and from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, sadly we never get to go this deep into Lost Woods. This is literally the only time it's ever possible.
Yeah, it definitely could be possible to say where it is. Maybe it's like somewhere further beyond from the Sacred Forest Meadow.
Yeah, I would say so.
Also, our boy is awakened and he's like, "Bitch, you better give that back, please." Yeah, this cutscene really does say a lot, though.
Yeah, that's quite a bit, just within this one cutscene in terms of how dark this game is. Wasn't the whole of Majora's Mask a metaphor for dealing with death anyway? Yeah, but there's more to it than just that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more to it.
Like, one major thing with Majora's Mask is dealing with the stages of grief. On top of dealing with death.
Okay, and then from there, Sora, let's go ahead and skip to the let's go ahead and skip to where he falls into the hole and get turned into a Deku Scrub, and then we'll talk.
Yep. Is there anything with number 4 in this game? Yeah, as I just mentioned, one of the things with Majora's Mask is dealing with the 4 stages of grief on top of dealing with death.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in theorizing, like in terms of death, though. Like a lot of people theorize like how Majora's Mask really defines like the 5 stages of grief, like throughout like Link's adventure. Which of course we definitely will get to that pretty soon. We definitely will get there.
Yeah. Also, welcome in, Goofy.
Welcome in. And thus from there, we can definitely tell this is where Link actually enters the land of Termina for the very first time, to where he's no longer in Hyrule anymore.
Yep.
So, goodbye Hyrule, hello Termina.
4 stages of grief, aka death. I just asked because in Japan 4 is related to death. Yeah, Majora's Mask literally took that concept and ran with it as the entire theme for this game.
Oh, absolutely. It's pretty good.
Okay, remember what I told you earlier about seeing Majora's Mask's eye layered on top of another Majora's Mask eye?
Yes.
It's right after this cutscene here.
Okay, I'm gonna pause this if I can find it.
No, it's after this. It's when Link's already cursed into a Deku Scrub and he starts laughing at him. I don't remember if it's...
Oh, okay.
I don't remember if it's on this exact version or if it's on the GameCube version. It's on one of the two. I think it is on this version, though.
Yeah, also, can we just talk about like how dark this scene is to see in a Zelda game, to where you see Link getting hurt, and now he's like in this weird world to where he's getting cursed to turn into Deku Scrub?
Yeah, like, during this part, it's like Link is literally living in a nightmare. Which, fun fact, I think this cutscene was actually based on a real nightmare.
Was it really?
Yes, it was based on a real nightmare. The guy who was working on Majora's Mask actually based this scene on an actual nightmare he had.
Okay, let me see this eye you're talking about. You said it was during the laugh, right?
Yeah. It's whenever he's laughing. His head is back.
Okay, let me see.
When he's laughing. I think it's on this one.
So I do see his mouth. So I do see Skull Kid's mouth, but also the eye.
Okay, yeah, it is. Rewind it back just a tad bit.
Okay.
Where his face is kind of more clear. Pause it whenever he's laughing.
Yeah, I did. No?
Let one frame go.
Okay.
Like,
how about now?
Do it again.
Unless it's probably on the GameCube version.
It might have been on the GameCube version. I could have swore it was on this version, though.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah. Pause it. Never mind.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, see, you can see it. Right when he's laughing.
Oh my god, I do see it. Oh my lord.
Yep, it's literally layered on top of another eye.
Oh my god, that is insane.
I still can't believe that I was actually able to notice that before. Yeah, in the 3DS version, they fixed that actually. That's no longer the case on 3DS.
Oh my god, that definitely is something though. So
I'm pretty sure that was like an asset glitch, but it actually makes it creepier if you think about it.
Yeah, it really does make it creepy though. So Sora, based on what we watched though, now we kind of know about the whole recap story about what we just saw with everything.
Yeah, but basically how the game starts.
Yeah, basically, how the game starts, Link definitely has been cursed by Skull Kid, who's actually is possessed by Majora's Mask himself, because, it's just, I mean, a lot of people mostly speculated that it's mostly Skull Kid doing it, but it's actually the mask doing it himself.
Well, it's not the mask, it's the demon possessing the mask that's also possessing
right, that's
Skull Kid.
Right, yeah. Okay. So that's definitely is most of that. I guess from there, we can definitely talk about, of course, since we are talking about Majora's Mask, how about, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about, oops, I don't want to mess it up. We can talk about the mask itself, the one I hold in my possession.
Yes.
I wonder, will I get possessed if I put this on?
Probably.
Chat, what do you think? Should I put this on? I wonder.
He's gonna meet with a terrible fate again.
I'm already meeting with a terrible fate right now.
Shaking my head.
Do it? Oh, Fire says, put it on. Okay.
4 eyes death. Yeah, you know what? Because of that visual asset, you can basically say Majora's Mask has 4 eyes, which of the number 4 resembles death. That's literally what the mask does.
I'm possessed.
It's out to kill.
I'm possessed.
Dadgummit, fart knocker.
I'm possessed. Wait, what? What happened? I'm kidding.
Gonna have to kill you now.
Okay.
Shaking my head.
So, let's talk about Majora's Mask so far. So we're gonna talk about. Oh my god, I can't.
Oh my
god, I can't.
If you get possessed, I'm taking back your Christmas present.
Wow, I didn't even know I was getting a Christmas present, but okay.
Oh my lord, Fire says, I'm the demon possessing the mask. You will thirst on waifus.
Oh shit. Okay, so Sora, let's go and dive in about the creation of Majora's Mask. So I'll definitely will let you go first on this one, but I want to know your take on the whole creation on Majora's Mask itself, like where the mask actually came from, and pretty much, kind of like narrowing down as to what the happy mask salesman actually says about the mask's creation, which of course, you know, we will get to him later on during this discussion though. But I want to know like your thoughts on the whole creation, like theory wise, as to like where it came from, who actually made this mask, what caused this mask to be so evil and diabolical that the people who created this mask feared its power.
Well, as far as the creation of the mask, that's never really stated. Its purpose was stated, but its actual creation isn't. The only thing we really know is that an ancient tribe basically created it and used it within its hexing rituals. And we all know what hexing rituals are.
Oh, yeah.
So because of the fact that it was used in these hexing rituals, the mask literally became demon-possessed as a result of this, and I guess whatever hexing rituals they were doing caused a demon so powerful to possess it that it was actually catastrophic, to the point where it could literally mass murder the entire world.
Yeah.
So to prevent its misuse, they seal it away in shadow, never to be used again.
Exactly. You know, it's really interesting to like think about all this together, like how like a mask like Majora's Mask can be so powerful, and like what was the tribe like of course, like you were saying, what kind of like dark magic or hexing rituals were this tribe capable of doing that causes mask to be so demonic and so powerful that even like the creators of it actually feared its power. So so a lot of people definitely wanted to speculate this theory as to who actually made Majora's Mask. A lot of people like to theorize that it is actually the interlopers, or the Tweely, aka Midna's tribe from Twilight Princess. And the only reason why I do say that is because I'll definitely will pull up a picture as I go. Because when you definitely do go into about it, when you go deeper into Lanayru's story, in Majora's when you go back into Lanayru's story, you know, about, you know, like the interlopers and all that stuff. Lanayru actually does discuss about the interlopers and like how people wanted to seek power, and like the people who created the few shadows, they actually performed dark hexing rituals and, you know, toyed around with dark magic. So when you kind of put that together, you know, of course with the quote ancient tribe who actually played around and made Majora's Mask, doesn't that sound very familiar to you, Sora?
Yep.
It sounds very familiar because, honestly, when you do look at it for a standalone point of view, you can definitely see right here on my screen, like, even when you look at the eye of the fused shadow, it definitely has a very strong resemblance to Majora's Mask. So, technically, you can definitely say at this point that, like, that Midna's tribe, the Tweely, or to what the Highlands that we refer to them as, the interlopers, they were the ones who actually were, you know, created the fused shadow, and then probably Majora's Mask, because the thing is, the Highlands they knew somewhat about this ancient tribe, pretty much back in the day, you know, like in Twilight Princess, but they were never seen because, like, you know, the Tweely ended up vanishing, and thus from them, they had to reside within the Twilight Realm. Because it's kind of like with the ending of Twilight Princess, to where light or darkness are like two sides of the same coin, and they cannot coexist in the same world.
What is this, Kingdom Hearts now?
Yes.
This is Kingdom Hearts before Kingdom Hearts existed, y'all.
Yes, it is.
I actually just...
Go ahead.
You finished what you were gonna say first.
No, I was just pointing it out with the description, like the little detail of like looking at Midna's fused shadow and like comparing it with Majora's Mask.
Gotcha. I actually just kind of just came up with this little far-fetched theory. Actually, it's a very far-fetched theory.
Yeah, go ahead and share.
Just kind of looking at it. So I think one origin of Majora's Mask could actually kind of relate from the Zonai.
You think so?
Yeah, like I said, it's very far-fetched, and I mean very far-fetched, but I was just looking at some stuff, and I kind of pieced a couple things together. So, again, it's going to sound completely far-fetched, but I am going to send a couple things here.
Okay, also, Okami, welcome on in.
Yo, welcome in, Okami.
Yeah, by the way, y'all, just want to let y'all know, sound clips are turned off for this discussion. We apologize for the inconvenience, though. But sound clips are turned off.
Yeah, I mentioned that in the chat earlier whenever Jaws asked about it.
Okay.
But yeah, so here's kind of why I pieced this together. So I was just kind of casually looking at stuff.
Okay.
So the link I just sent you on Discord.
Okay. Let me go right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be sending this stuff on Discord just to make it a little easier.
Sure. All right, but go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, so if I can get this thing to cooperate with me here. Okay, there we go. So feel free to show the stuff on screen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So what I just sent you is what the Zonai's eye looks like.
Okay. Yeah, I'm showing it right now. Yeah, I got it. So, I got it open.
Yeah, your stream's a little delayed on my side, so I was just kind of looking. But yeah, look at how it's shaped. Just kind of look at that for a minute. Its shape is very similar. This is gonna be a little all over the place, but I'm kind of sort of connecting this together. So it's kind of shaped a good bit like the Sheikah's eye, right?
Yeah.
The Sheikah's eye is on more than just this. So let's take a look at the Mask of Truth. This is in both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, but I just sent you a link to that.
Okay, I can just type in the Mask of Truth.
Well, I just linked it to you just to make it easier. Like you could literally just pull up our DM and click it.
But yeah, I have the Mask of Truth up anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah. So looking at that, we know the Mask of Truth came from the Sheikah, right?
Yes, it was a piece of technology created by the Sheikah to actually make it capable of reading the minds of people and animals.
Yeah. So comparing the two eyes, you can see that it looks very similar to that of the Zonai's eye.
It does.
Okay, so next thing, where the heck is it? Oh yeah. Pull up the Fused Shadow eye real quick.
Okay.
I don't have the link to it.
Oh yeah, don't worry, I got you. You just want the eye, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That or the Fused Shadow itself. Whichever one, as long as you can visually see the eye.
Yeah.
Alright, actually wait, that one right there with Majora's Mask on it, that's a perfect example.
Okay.
Okay, so if you compare the eye on the Fused Shadow to that of the eye on both the Mask of Truth and the Zonai eye, don't they look very similar as well?
Oh my god, they actually do.
Yep, so you piece those eyes together and compare all of them to Majora's Mask's eye, they all look strangely familiar.
It could be possible. So maybe of course in a different era, in a different timeline, maybe the Zonai were the one who were responsible for making this, for making Majora's Mask. But a lot of people tend to theorize that back in the day that it was Midna's tribe, aka the Tweely, or what people in Hyrule refer to them as the Interlopers. But while not confirmed, it's definitely is possible now that it probably could have been Midna's tribe, since of course the Tweely does coexist in the same time in the child timeline, while the Zonai definitely are in a different era in the timeline. According due to Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, but here's how I'm kind of connecting this together, though. Tears of the Kingdom kind of establishes that the Zonai were basically like the first race to found Hyrule, right?
Yes.
That's what Tears of the Kingdom is establishing. So basically, everything else derived from them.
Right.
So, if we're kind of going off of that, if you think about it, technically it's possible the Zonai could have also had a hand in creating Majora's Mask. Especially if they are also responsible for the creation of other races, like the Tweely, for example. Right. Yeah, yeah, they're kind of in their own world. But if we remember, the Tweely also have a connection to the Sheikah.
Yep, they do. They also did have a connection with the Sheikah.
Yep, and the Sheikah had a connection to the Zonai.
Yep, they did.
So it's only fair to assume that they had, like, they all kind of sort of connect together.
Yeah, it definitely does have a strong connection though, because like, you know, like all these tribes together, like when you take like, of course, when you do take the Zonai, the Tweely / the Interlopers, and of course, you know, the Sheikah, they all have a really strong connection together, you know, to where they like literally are. All these three tribes, what they have connected is that you can definitely say that they have an involvement in terms of dark magic.
Yep. And which we all know, that's a very big thing that you deal with in both Tears of the Kingdom and Majora's Mask. Dark magic from a demon. Which, yeah, the Zonai were fighting against the Demon King in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
But you have to... One thing we never really got to find out is why.
That is true. Also, Fire has a question for both of us. Fire asks, so if the mask is Zonai, the demon possessing it could be part of the same darkness as Ganon in the underground cavern of Hyrule Castle from Tears of the Kingdom. So he's...
Yep.
It could be possible, though, because, you know... Because we all know for a fact that, like, you know, this power, like, that Majora's Mask actually has is a lot different compared to, like, with Malice and Gloom for Ganon, for Calamity Ganon, and also our Demon King Ganondorf. Because the thing is, you know, Majora's Mask, you know, does not have any Malice or Gloom. Like, this is actually, like, a legit demon created by this tribe, but we can't most likely say, like, if Majora's Mask's power and evil definitely share Malice or Gloom, just like Ganondorf had.
Yeah, but like, so my whole theory with this, and keep in mind, I came up with this whole theory kind of on the fly, so yeah. It's not like perfect. But like, my whole thing with this is, if the Sheikah and the Zonai are connected, I think the way they're connected is that the Sheikah is basically the next generation of the Zonai, kinda.
Yep.
Because, like, after the Zonai leave in Tears of the Kingdom, you never see them again. And before this, in Breath of the Wild, we only hear about the Sheikah.
Yep.
But everything, there's a lot of stuff that translates back to the Zonai in Breath of the Wild, but they're never outright stated. We just kind of sort of, how can I put this? Kind of sort of hinted at, basically. Tears of the Kingdom only further expands on the Zonai stuff. And so, if you kind of look at the two races, you can kind of connect them together, just based on this. So, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If this is true, how is it that also the Sheikah connect to the Tweely?
You know, it's really interesting to think about, because, you know, it's like I was saying before, like, when you take those three tribes together, being, of course, you know, the Zonai, the Tweely, and the Sheikah, they all have an involvement to where they would play around with dark magic. Because, you know, the Sheikah were, like, of course, they were members of, like, a dark tribe, and, like, you know, they were the ones who, like, and heck, like, even when you go back to the timeline in Ocarina of Time, you know, when you do have the Shadow Temple, you know that it was like a prison for Sheikah, created by Bongo Bongo himself, to where Sheikah would get imprisoned and all. So it was like a torture chamber. Because
it was literally a torture chamber. Good lord.
Yeah, because like when you go inside the Shadow Temple from Ocarina of Time, you know, you can, like, it kind of says something like about like use the Eye of Truth to see beyond, to where you'll see blood and stuff like that. And you see all like blood on the wall, and there's like corpses there. Like, you can definitely tell, like, this is like a torture chamber, to where a lot of people actually feared dark magic that was coming out. But one thing I do want to talk about with that is when you go to Oh my god, what is his name? But, okay, you know that, so, do you know that gentleman who runs the, Astral Observatory, Shikashi?
Yes.
And you know, like, about his counterpart in Ocarina of Time?
Mm-hmm.
So, when you talk to him in Ocarina of Time, he actually states about the origin, about, like, how, like, a long time ago, I'm trying to remember how it went, but it was something about, like, a person was used to, like, play around with dark magic within the bottom of the well, and then because, like, an evil spirit was casted upon the well, and then, of course, you know, the Sheikah, they had to seal it away.
Yep.
Do you remember that story, what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So
I do remember.
So it's definitely interesting to think about with, of course, the Sheikah having an involvement with this, though. So, of course, you know, from here, it's really hard to tell from now that we have Tears of the Kingdom out, like, you know, do the Sheikah also have an involvement with Majora's Mask's creation in terms of, like, with the assumption of them toying around with dark magic?
Well, here's kind of where I was going. Wasn't it kind of sort of hinted at in Twilight Princess that the Tweely were once Sheikah?
I think so, yes. I think at a point that they had it, but because of their involvement with dark magic, they had to be casted within the Twilight Realm.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking there. So, this is my thing. The Zonai are connected to the Sheikah, because the Sheikah were once, or rather, they are descendants of the Zonai.
Yeah.
Which then, later on, you had Sheikah that became the Tweely.
Yes.
And if the whole theory about the Tweely creating Majora's Mask is true, if you think about it, it's technically the Zonai's fault the mask exists.
It kind of...
Because everything kind of came from them.
It kind of can be possible, like, you know, it's probably, like, mostly the Zonai's fault with the mask's creation, and, like, how the Tweely kind of had an involvement with it. So...
Yeah.
It's...
And, like, the way you see it all connect is the eye.
Yeah.
They all basically have the same kind of eye.
They really do have the same eye. But also, one thing to even go into detail about it is, we're going to go ahead and play this video that actually is, said by the Happy Mask salesman himself when he talks about, the creation of Majora's Mask. And I definitely will read what he has to say.
Yes.
So where he says, and I quote, "The mask that was stolen from me, it is called Majora's Mask.
Mm-hmm.
It is an cursed item from legend that is said to have been used by an ancient tribe in its hexing rituals."
Yep, as we stated earlier.
And then, of course, the Happy Mask salesman goes on to say, "It is said that an evil and wicked power is bestowed upon the one who wears that mask." So basically, the one who wears it will get possessed.
Yep.
And then from here, he goes on to say, "According to legend, the troubles caused by Majora's Mask were so great," he says, "the Ancient Ones, fearing such a catastrophe, sealed the mask in shadow forever, preventing its misuse."
There once was an evil demon mask. It was so evil that everyone died.
Also, but you know, one thing I do want to talk about. So I know this is not. I also do want to bring this up for this discussion, though. I know we talked about this in the. I do want to bring this up, of course, because I know this is an original story. So, I do want to share this with you guys. So, I know this is just an original story, but in the manga,
It's a good original story.
Oh yeah, it's really good. It's a really good original story. Which, by the way, chat, I do recommend picking it up. I know Sora probably has it somewhere, but yes, please go find this manga. Go find it. Go read it. You can find it like at any bookstore. I got mine at Barnes & Noble years ago.
Yeah, I have it on my bookshelf, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Yes, please go read it. Sora, do you recommend that everybody watching this should go read this and go find it?
Definitely.
Go read it.
It's a very good read.
Yeah, go read it. So in the manga, at the one of the last few pages of the book, it talks about like how it is different. So instead of an ancient tribe, they actually talk about like how there is a demon monster by the name of Majora, which of course is this creature right here, and it was like pretty much clothed in like this massive armor on its back, to where it contained a lot of power. And for those who would wear the armor would gain a lot of power though. So pretty much warriors from like around the world would come in to this area to go fight this creature, but apparently they've all lost their lives to this monster, to where they were killed and eaten by the creature. But suddenly along the way, we have like this unknown gentleman right here, to where a lot of people do theorize that he probably was the one responsible, along with the creation of the Fierce Deity Mask, which we'll get to that later. But it pretty much was like said to like he was just traveling by, and to where this monster is like saying, you know, like, oh, I really don't believe you. You probably just want my power, which of course he says, the traveler says, I actually don't want it. So, and then the monster says, you know, like he's been here for like centuries, and all he wants to do is just to put people to rest. He just wants to be put to rest because he's exhausted from all of this. So the traveler takes out his drums, and then from there causes the monster to dance, to where he even shouts like, dance! And then for
dance.
So from the end, the unknown traveler plays the drums for 3 days and 3 nights, and then of course on the 4th day, the dawn of a new day, the monster actually passes out and dies, and all that is left is the armor. And what this gentleman does is that he takes a carving knife, takes the armor, and right here he actually carves the monster's armor into Majora's Mask. And if you look right here, he actually says, and I quote, even though it's kind of hard to read, but I do have the manga, but I will read to y'all what it says. And he actually says, in that little text box, it says right here, I got it. It says right here, your power is safe inside this mask. Now no one will feel threatened by it. May you sleep in peace for all time.
Yes.
So that's definitely like an original story. So I really do like this one though, Sora. This is a really good an origin story, but a lot of people tend, even though his face is not shown in the actual game, a lot of people theorize, Sora, that this gentleman right here, this unknown traveler, is said to be the quote, you know, the person responsible for the origin of Fierce Deity.
Yeah. Which is sadly something we never got in the game, but this is actually something I was wondering about. I wonder just how canon this actually is.
So I don't think this story about the Majora monster is canon though, but because I know
probably not.
It's probably it's most, like I said, it's just an original story, because it even says at the bottom of the manga, according to the one that I have, it says original story, and that's what actually what says and translated in Japanese right here, original story.
Yeah,
but now that we're talking about this, I don't know about you, Sora, but I do want to talk about the Fierce Deity with you. I would like to discuss the Fierce Deity. So, there is definitely a lot of mystery that actually involves around the origin of the Fierce Deity. And we all know that the mask itself, you know, when you obtain it from the child Majora on the moon, it says, you know, could this mask's power be more powerful than Majora's Mask? So
not only that, but it's actually confirmed by the game itself that the mask also has a dark power similar to Majora's Mask as well.
It does. So with that being said, so throughout Link's journey in Termina, we all know that, you know, like all the transformation masks that he obtained within the game had powers, and even some of the original non-transformation masks contained a lot of mystery and power to them. Like, for example, like, excuse me. So, like, for example, like, we theorize, a lot of people, like, while it's not confirmed, but it's more than likely hinted, like, we feel like that the origin of, like, you know, with Link getting turned into a Deku Scrub, most likely resembles the death of the Deku Butler's son, which, of course, is the tree that we find right by the gate leading to the clock tower in Termina.
Yeah, and this is hinted at by the fact that after you finish the race with him and he gives you
the Mask of Sense.
The Mask of Sense, he literally says, "You remind me of my own son."
He really does say that.
Yeah, racing you literally reminds me of my own son. And literally during the credits of the game,
well, when I have the picture right here.
Yeah, you literally see him mourning right in front of that tree. So, yeah, he literally hints at the fact that his son is dead, and you in Deku form reminds him of his son, which we also can pretty much guess is that tree since he's mourning right in front of it.
Yeah, and honestly, when you kind of look about it, you know, we do have, you know, the little statue of it to, like, whenever you learn about the Elegy of Emptiness. And, like, in each transformation mask, you know, definitely contains, like, an origin to, like, how the Deku, like we said earlier, like, the Deku Scrub Link mostly being a resemblance to the power of the Deku Butler's son. The Goron mask mostly contains the power and the memories of the Goron hero Darmani. And then, of course, we do have, last but not least, the Zora mask containing the power and the memories of the famous musician of the Zora band, the Indogogos, Mikau.
Yeah, and there's actually also one more thing with the Deku.
Yes.
So you know, once you get there, Tattle literally teaches you about the Z targeting thing, right?
Yes.
Well, if you Z target it and then let Tattle tell you about it, she literally talks about the tree, and she literally says, you know, this tree kind of reminds me of you.
She kind of does. It kind of does, and she says, like, you know, like, even like you, it looks really sad.
Yep. So that's another hint as to the Deku Scrub, or rather the Deku Mask being the Deku Butler's son.
Yeah, because of course of the credits, we do see the Deku Butler actually mourning for that tree, most likely knowing that that's got to be his son. So definitely Sora. Going back to the Fierce Deity, we all know, of course, we know that this is literally like, this mask is literally like a literal god. This is literally a god.
Yep.
Pretty much. So, actually, a lot of people have tend to ask about the origin of the mask and how it becomes powerful. And actually, this is actually what's confirmed by Zelda producer himself, Mr. Eiji Aonuma, to when asked about this. He pretty much says, you know, and I'm trying to think about what he says. What he says, while I can't say much about information, the mask is definitely as powerful. But what he says, and I quote, but what I can tell you is that the power of the Fierce Deity's mask contains the memories of all the people in Termina.
Yeah.
So that was really a confirmation from Mr. Aonuma himself in an interview when Majora's Mask 3D came out.
Yep.
So it kind of goes to show, like, you know, like, the reason why, like, Fierce Deity is so powerful is because it contains the memories of all the people that Link has interacted with throughout his time in Termina. Like, seeing, like, you know, Anju at the Stockpot Inn, you know, Romani and Cremia over on Romani Ranch, and, like, the Gorman brothers, and, like, you know, Pamela and her father. You know, there definitely is a lot going on to this. Because, like, and speaking about Pamela and his father, you know, to when, of course, we all know about, like, how Pamela's father, you know, he gets possessed with the whole Gibdo thing.
Yeah.
You know? He actually met. So the thing is, like, when he actually talked to Pamela's father, and he actually put on the transformation mask, and even some of the other masks, he even says, and I quote, "My ghost radar actually seems to be going off." Because we all know that Pamela's father is a ghost researcher in Ikana Canyon.
Which kind of makes me wonder about something. Like, it kind of makes me wonder if the Ghetto mask was meant to be a transformation mask, and it just never became one.
That's really interesting to think about. Like, imagine like if Link was able to like transform into a Gibdo. But
oh, that actually would have been cool. Not gonna lie.
Exactly. And then like, you know, I know we'll get to this later, but like even when you put on some of the mask, even the Happy Mask salesman definitely like speculates the mask itself, saying like this mask kind of reminds me, it's a symbolism about a loving father and child.
Yeah.
But with Fierce deity itself, like this is actually a legit powerful mask, though, because like literally this is a demon god. But the fact is, you know, the origin is so Sora, I want to know what your take is. Why do you think that what makes you think that? Why does Fierce deity kind of make have a shown of symbolism towards adult Link? Because when Link puts on the mask, he sounds like his adult counterpart from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, actually kind of thinking about that as we were going along with this, and I kind of came up with something. It's a little unlikely, but at the same time, it's actually very possible too.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so as we all know, everybody in Termina is basically a counterpart of somebody else in Hyrule from Ocarina of Time, right?
Correct.
Link is the only person in this entire game that does not have a counterpart in Termina.
This is true.
So I kind of wonder if the Fierce Deity was actually the Termina counterpart of adult Link.
Ooh, I like that. Oh, I like that one. I do. Because when you do think about it, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, basically along probably what you were going to say. Think about it. Similar shape, similar clothing, like with the hat and stuff. Same exact voice. And plus they are parallel opposite of each other. Link is the hero of time. You know, he's got like the power of the sages, which is, you know, the power of light.
Right.
Fierce Deity's power is dark. So they are literally light and dark. So they parallel each other.
Yeah, so they pretty much represent both light and darkness. And like, you know, as we were saying before, you know, like the whole entire land of Termina is mostly like a parallel universe of Hyrule. And a lot of people, and usually along this journey, you know, Link sees a lot of people that he's familiarizes himself, like saying like, you know, like as to certain characters that he's interacted in Hyrule. Like you have like Toto, the manager of the Zora Band and the Go-Go's, who of course is King Zora. You have Gorman, the circus leader troupe of the Gorman brothers, you know, representing Ingo. You have Cremia and Romani, you know, representing like a young and adult version of Malon from Ocarina of Time. Of course, you have Mr. Barden, the guy who runs the milk bar, who represents Talon, the owner of Lon Lon Ranch. And then, of course, you have Anju, who represents the Cuckoo Lady from Kakariko Village. So there's definitely a lot of connection there. And like, just as we were pointing out, Sora, there is like no other character who is like a parallel version of Link. So what kind of think about is like, even though we haven't seen him, could it be possible that the origin of the Fierce Deity, or even though this literal deity is literally a god, it could be possible like this character is somebody, you know, who represents darkness, while Link, the hero of time, represents light.
Yep, and there's actually another parallel here that I didn't point out.
Oh?
So as you know, the Master Sword is literally the sword created by the goddess, right?
Yes.
It represents the power of light, and only Link can wield it.
Yes.
The double helix sword that Fierce Deity uses is the opposite. It represents darkness. It represents demonic power. Only Fierce Deity Link can wield that sword. So they both have a sword that parallels each other with light and darkness that only they can wield.
That is definitely true, because because it's thinking about it, how is Link able to wield that sword after putting on such a pretty powerful mask like Fierce Deity?
Yep, and actually, I didn't read this earlier. I was kind of waiting for the right moment. Fire actually brought up a good question in chat, and this is what he said. So that poses a scary thought: who or what was strong enough to defeat the Fierce Deity to turn it into a mask?
That is very interesting to think about because because when you do think about it, while it's not confirmed about where who actually designed or created the Fierce Deity mask, but we all know about where. I do want to bring this up real quick. So when you do think about it, the Song of Healing, we talk about the Song of Healing that is mostly started and composed by the Happy Mask Salesman, and what he says is that the power of the Song of Healing is supposed to eradicate all evil and turns evil into masks. So from there,
Maybe Mask Salesman did it.
So the thing
Blaming
is,
him.
exactly. So do you think could it be possible that for some time being, do you think maybe it was the Happy Mask Salesman himself who turned the evil the counterpart of Link by playing the Song of Healing and turning that power into a mask? And thus with that power of the mask, it's just like how Mr. IG Anuma says in a confirmed interview, contains, not only with just him, but the memories of all the people in Termina.
I was actually joking when I said that, but you know what? Now I'm actually kind of believing it.
It's very interesting to think about, because, the thing is, the Happy Mask Salesman, we'll get to him soon. He's gone through great, being a mask salesman, he's gone through great lengths to obtain such masks in his inventory and collection.
Yeah. Which, I have a lot of questions regarding the Happy Mask Salesman himself, which I'm sure we're going to go over later.
Oh yeah, we definitely are. With Fierce Deity, it's definitely is a lot. Because if you honestly look at the screenshot right here, when you get it in the game, it says right here, and I quote, "You got the Fierce Deity's mask. Could this mask's dark powers be as bad as Majora?" And even when you talk to the Moon Children, he even tells you, the kid wearing Majora's mask, he's saying, he says, let's play a game. Let's play good guys versus bad guys. And he's the one who calls Link the bad guy. And he claims that the kid wearing Majora's mask is the good guy.
Yep, and
so the thing is, why would the kid wearing Majora's mask call Link the bad guy?
See, I'm actually glad you brought this up, because this actually leads into my final point as to why I feel like Fierce Deity was the Termina parallel version of Link.
Okay.
So, Link is, of course, a Hylian.
Yes.
So, obviously, a Hylian is, of course, a resident of Hyrule. There's nothing, evil or dark about them, right?
Yes.
This is obviously a theory, but what if Fierce Deity was actually one of the people who was among the tribe that created Majora's Mask in the first place? You got Link, who is a Hylian, a child of light. The Fierce Deity, a child of darkness. Which would also explain why, when putting on that mask, Link has the power to completely obliterate the mask in the first place. Because if we're going off the assumption that the tribe made the mask, they would obviously have to have some kind of weird dark powers, right?
Yes.
That dark power, if we're going off of this theory, should also be powerful enough to destroy it.
Right.
That's literally what Fierce Deity Link can do. You put that mask on, and he just overpowers Majora's Mask, no problem.
Exactly.
So,
and the thing is, and to add on, even in the game, you can naturally use it against the bosses that you would fight. Adowa, Goat, Georg, and of course, Twin Mold.
Yep. And it would also just make sense if, like, since you can do all that crap, it would make sense for Fierce Deity to have once been a member of the tribe that created Majora's Mask.
It probably could be possible to think about it, because, because, again, this tribe contained of performing dark and hexing rituals. So, probably, maybe Fierce Deity was, whoever was the original Fierce Deity, was the one who started the whole trend of, containing the power of the mask itself, and,
Yep. And let's connect the dots here.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and completely connect the dots on both ends. Here's Link. Little kid, Ocarina of Time. He's chosen by the goddess to be the hero of time, but of course he was too young to be the hero of time, so he's sealed away for 7 years. When he's an adult, he can wield the Master Sword, and he can go, fight evil in the name of the goddess, aka, with the power of light. And we have Fierce Deity, if we're going off my theory here. If this parallels it like I think, we got Fierce Deity, who lives as a member of this tribe, who helped create the mask. He is literally darkness incarnated here, basically.
Yeah.
Just like how Link is light, Fierce Deity is darkness.
Yep.
He helps create the mask, and basically he has to face the consequences of it. I think him becoming a mask is also part of the consequences of helping create Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
But that's a whole theory for later. So if we're going off of this, he basically grows up as this warrior of darkness, and then later on pays for his crimes of helping create the mask by becoming a mask himself.
Yeah. Because, honestly, the mysteries of, the darkness of comparing to the power of Majora's Mask versus, of course, the power of course, Fierce Deity, it really does say a lot about the mask's power, and heck, it even contains, and the one thing I do want to talk about with the power, of course, we'll get to later, is, of course, the other demon mask that we obtained in the game being the remains of the four bosses that take over take over the bodies of the 4 giants.
Yeah, but before we move on to that, there's one more thing.
Yeah.
If my theory about about Fierce Deity is right, that would also explain the description when you first receive the mask. Could this mask's dark power be as bad as Majora's?
Exactly, and it just like the kid wearing Majora's Mask says, let's play a game. Good guys versus bad guys. You're the bad guy.
Exactly. Which, going off my theory, that would explain why he is the bad guy. Because he lived among this evil tribe.
Exactly.
Who helped create Majora's Mask. And so if we're going off of that theory, when you receive the description, could this mask's power be as bad as Majora's? Yeah, it could. Because that power helped create the mask in the first place.
Yep. And it contains the memories of all the people in Termina.
Yep.
It definitely does say a lot for the time being. But speaking about which, now I want to talk about a couple of characters, but I want to start with one character first. And you know what I'm talking about, Sora, but I want to talk about the Skull Kid. I would like to talk about him first, in terms of characters.
Yes.
So, one thing that I do want to point out in terms of characters is, of course, this one is super important because we all know, the Skull Kid, he mostly plays a huge role in this game along with the Happy Mask Salesman, which, of course, we'll get to the Happy Mask Salesman after Skull Kid. But,
yep.
Skull Kid, so I do want to say that this is actually the same. This is the same Skull Kid who Link actually meets in the Lost Woods at Ocarina of Time. Because the thing is, because when you go back to the intro, before he gets possessed by Majora's Mask, of course, what is the theme that plays in terms of the Skull Kid? Saria's song. And when Link actually encounters Skull Kid in the woods, he even says, "Oh, you know Saria's song. Let's be friends."
Yep.
And of course, we all know about the story about what Skull Kids are like for members of the Kokiri tribe, who wander in the Lost Woods forever and get lost. They turn into Skull Kids. And same applies with adults. For the adults who wander in the Lost Woods forever and get lost, they turn into Stalfos.
Yep.
So we can definitely say that, probably once that the Skull Kid was probably once a member of the Kokiri tribe, but actually was somebody who actually got lost within the woods.
Yeah.
And then when you do think about it, after, at the end of Majora's Mask, he even tells Link, you have the same smell as the fairy kid who taught me that song in the woods. And the thing is, and honestly, when you do think about it, Sora, when he tells Link that, he's actually is not talking about Link himself, because if it was Link, he would have recognized him. But the thing is, he doesn't recognize him in this tournament event. But the person who he's talking about is Saria. The Skull Kid.
I thought about that, actually.
Yeah, the Skull Kid is referring to Saria because when you go to the Lost Woods, you can catch him playing the music on his little flute, and he tells Link, right after Link plays the song for him, he says, "Hey, Saria, we should be friends."
Yeah, because I actually didn't think about this before, because once you play that, he already knows the song, so Link couldn't have been the one that taught it to him.
Yeah, it was Saria who taught it to him first, because he says, "Oh, you're friends with Saria?"
Yeah, but the one thing I am a little stuck on is I still think the Skull Kid should have recognized Link during this, because, well, I mean, I guess it's part of a side quest, so it doesn't really count, but let's take into consideration that the side quest is part of the story. If that is the case, the Skull Kid could have recognized Link. Because, at the very least, yeah, he didn't teach him the song, but he did play the song for him.
He basically did, and the reason why I probably think that he probably doesn't recognize him, because again, when you go back to the beginning of Majora's Mask and the Child Timeline, of course, Link goes back to reclaim the 7 years that he lost. So pretty much everything to where Link actually kills Ganondorf didn't happen. So
that's right.
Because
that's right.
The event
it reset all that.
Yeah, it resetted all that to where when Link goes back in time, this is going back to a point to where Ganondorf was still alive, and that's where Link goes to warn Princess Zelda and the King of Hyrule that Ganondorf is coming to Hyrule. Ganondorf is going to come invade and not swear allegiance to the king, and wants to take the Triforce, to where thus Zelda herself entrusts him with the Ocarina of Time. So
yeah.
So that's probably is another reason why the Skull Kid, of course, in Majora's Mask, doesn't recognize Link, but in this era, in this timeline, he still remembers Saria and how Saria was the one who taught the Skull Kid, the Saria song.
Yeah, if everything got completely reset like that, yeah, that would explain that. Okay, I straight up did not think about that at all.
It's okay. Okay, so I do want to show off the cutscene that we're talking about, when Skull Kid actually first arrives in Termina, and you can tell that he's lost and stuff like that. But we'll go deeper into that.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the cutscene. Okay. Okay, so let me go ahead and turn off the music. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this topic, though. Thank you all so much for tuning in and joining us. Sora and I really do appreciate you being here, hanging out with us as we unravel each of the mysteries of Majora's Mask.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, and also, if you guys have any add-ons y'all would like to add on, or y'all have any questions, feel free to ask us about it. We're here to answer all your questions you may have.
Yeah, feel free to contribute to the conversation. Ask any questions, make any comments, just like pretty much anything. You guys are welcome to join in.
Exactly, and then of course, one thing I like to add on: there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yep. No such thing as a stupid question. Although I might give a stupid answer once in a while just for the lulz, but that's beside the point.
So I do have the cutscene opened up. So I'm gonna go in and play it, and I'm going to read what Tattle says. This is the scene to where like when Link and Tattle first go to the southern swamp, and they see the little drawing of Skull Kid etched onto the tree. To where Tattle's like, oh, I remember this, and this is what Tattle says. You know, to where she says, Tail and I drew this with the Skullkin when we first met him. And then Tattle goes on to say, he told us that he had been fighting with his friends and that they had left him all alone. And of course, you know, we're going to go into the cutscene right here. And this is like way before, you know, Link actually stumbles upon, of course, you know, entering into the land of Termina.
Why do y'all think Skull Kid led Link to Termina? So the answer to that, Skull Kids are literally known for causing trouble and mischief. So I literally think he did it as a prank.
Wait, who asked that? Oh, Damer asked it. Also, welcome in, Kai.
Does Majora's Mask? Kai, no.
Oh my god. Okay.
No.
The answer. So the thing is, Damer, is that So of course, So the Skull Kids were once members of the Kokiri tribe. To where, you know, if they were to stumble upon the Lost Woods and wander in the woods forever and get lost, they would turn into Skull Kids. And then, of course, if an adult did it, they turn into Salphos. And the thing with Skull Kids is that Skull Kids, since they are, of course, were once children, they actually have the mind and capacity of acting like a child. So they actually, to know from here, just where, you know, they actually, like Skull Kids, they don't fear children, but they mostly are known for playing pranks all the time. And the only reason why is that they attack adults, kind of like how, like, when Link when Link goes back to the Lost Woods as an adult, the Skull Kids actually attack Link because they actually are scared and they fear adults.
Yep.
Which, of course, we're going to get to as to how we see the Skull Kid actually attacking the Happy Mask Salesman. But we mostly think that this definitely was, like, you know, a prank mostly set up by the Skull Kid. Because Skull Kids are known to be pranksters. And, of course, you'll definitely will see it right here in this cutscene as we're going to talk about it. So, of course, you know, we see the Skull Kid. Which, by the way, Sora, later on, I do want to... Okay, so you see this pose that Skull Kid is actually making right here?
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about that with you in a few minutes, though. Because I just actually thought of something, and I think you might see it too. But keep this pose etched into your mind for now.
Okay.
So keep it etched, and I'll tell you when I'm going with this pose that he's doing. So of course we all know, you know, this is definitely the start of the friendship between the Skull Kid and Tattle and Tail. And then in comes, you know, Sorry a Song. And you can even see right here, like, you know, it's kind of hard to see, but Skull Kid is actually playing Sorry a Song on his little flute.
Yep.
And of course, that's where they etched the picture on the tree. And then this is where it kind of gets kind of crazy and overboard with the pranks. And it says right here, because about with Skull Kid, and even Tattle says, and I quote, I'm sure it was just because he was always playing tricks, so nobody wanted to play with him. So this definitely adds another piece of the puzzle about Skull Kids and having their playful behavior to where they're known for playing tricks and pulling pranks on other people. Mostly on adults, because they actually do fear adults.
Yep.
Which, of course, is why it actually goes to show what it says right here. But to do what he did just because of that, and even shows right here as to why you can actually see a knocked out Happy Mask salesman, right here, because you can definitely tell that, Skull Kid definitely fears an adult. So, of course, he had to do, in order to protect himself, he had to attack him. And that's why we see the Happy Mask salesman just knocked out unconscious on the ground.
Yep. And out of all the masks, he picked that one.
Yep. So that definitely says a lot about the Skull Kid, definitely right there. But one thing I do want to talk about with you, Sora, is that we all know is that that the Skull Kid definitely has a connection with the four giants, to which we all know are the guardians of Termina. Yep. And if you kind of go back into it, the people in Clocktown, they celebrate the protection of the guardians of the four giants, which of course everybody knows about the Carnival of Time. And according to a story by Andrew's grandmother, Andrew's grandmother actually says that the story about the Carnival of Time is a story to where they celebrate, the protection of the four giants, and how there's like 4 different giants for each area of Termina, to where one giant walked 100 paces north, 100 paces south, 100 paces east, and 100 paces west. But around this time, what?
I actually forgot how it's like perfectly just distributed between 100 paces each. If you think about it, that's literally 400 across the whole thing. Yet another 4 for more death. Dadgummit.
Yeah. But honestly, with Andrew's grandmother, she definitely talks about one important aspect, and that is like how she talks about like how they actually had a connection to with being friends with the imp. And we all know that this imp was most likely the Skull Kid,
Yeah.
At least that's what I figure, because I'm actually gonna say I do have the story pulled up from Andrew's grandmother. Excuse me, because I'm definitely gonna read what she has to say for this part. Actually, let me get my screen just a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, so everyone can see it.
You could probably just keep it like that, so that way switching between videos is easier.
Yeah. Okay, so according to Andrew's grandmother, she says, and I quote, about the story about the 4 giants and how there's a connection with the Skull Kid. She says, and I quote, "The 4 giants. This tale is from long ago, when all the people weren't separated into 4 worlds like they are now. In those times, all the people lived all the people lived together, and the 4 giants lived among them. On the day of the festival that celebrates the harvest, the giants spoke to the people. 'We have chosen to guard the people while we sleep. 100 steps north, 100 steps south, 100 steps east, and 100 steps west. If you have need, call us in a loud voice by declaring something such as the mountain blizzard has trapped us, or the ocean is about to swallow us. Your cries shall carry to us.' Now then, there was one who was shocked and saddened by all of this. A little imp. The imp was a friend of the giants since before they had created the 4 worlds. Why must you leave? Why do you not stay? The childhood friend felt neglected, so he spread his anger across the 4 worlds. Repeatedly, he wronged all people. Overwhelmed with misfortune, the people sang the song of prayer to the giants who lived in each of the 4 compass directions. The giants heard their cry and responded with the roar, O imp, we are the protectors of the people. You have caused the people pain. O imp, leave these 4 worlds. Otherwise, we shall tear you apart.
That's gruesome.
The imp was frightened and saddened. He had lost his old friends. The imp returned to the heavens, and harmony was restored to the 4 worlds. And the people rejoiced, and they worshipped the giants of the 4 worlds like gods. And they lived happily ever after, according to Anju's grandmother. So that's a pretty fucked up story.
Yeah.
I want to tell that to my kid to go to bed.
Yep.
But yeah, so what are your thoughts about that, Sora, with the connection with the 4 giants versus the Skull Kid, according to Anju's grandmother?
They were ready to just mass murder him.
Oh, they definitely were, but like, do you actually think like, this imp they're referring to, this is actually is the same Skull Kid?
Yep. I mean, it would have to be.
But what are your thoughts on all this, like the friendship and the bond that both the Skull Kid and the 4 giants have? Because when you go at the ending of the game, you can see the Skull Kid crying to where he looks at them and he says, "Do you still consider me as a friend?" And that's when the giants start singing the Oath to Order song.
Honestly, there really isn't a whole lot to say about the friendship because it's not elaborated on too awful much. But what I kind of think is, I think the friendship was good up until the 4 giants noticed what the Skull Kid was actually doing. And they were ready to basically sacrifice that to protect their home. And the people of their home.
Yeah, and then of course when you do think about it, they were, according to the story about Anju's grandmother, when the giants said, you need to leave, otherwise we are going to kill you. The Skull Kid was frightened about this, that he actually got sent to the heavens. But when you do think about it, we see this kid again over in the Lost Woods in Ocarina of Time, and thus of course he actually follows Link and actually ends up in Termina, being possessed by the power of Majora's Mask.
Yep, and this is not entirely off topic, but it's something else I actually just noticed. It's another parallel between Termina and Hyrule.
Okay, what you got?
Alright, so we know in Hyrule there's the 3 golden goddesses, right?
Yes.
The number 3 represents creation, time, past, present, and future, which is literally, Ocarina of Time's whole thing.
Yes.
And 3 elements of body, mind, and spirit. Literally Ocarina of Time, right?
Yes.
That's what the 3 golden goddesses represent.
Yes. This is correct.
Now we got the 4 giants here, who are the guardians of Termina. We already know everything of Termina represents death.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
The 4 giants also kind of represent death, because, again, there's 4 of them, and the number 4 represents death.
Yep.
And complete opposite of Hyrule, because we got the 3 golden goddesses that represent life, and the 4 giants who represent death.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing with the giants and the Skull Kid actually kind of relates to this in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were literally willing to sacrifice their friendship, aka kill the friendship, end it, to protect their home.
Yeah, it's pretty it surely is something, but here's the thing. What if I told you that, what if the 4 giants actually, foresaw the coming of his attack, to where he says, you are no longer welcome here, be gone, or we're gonna tear you apart. What did they actually foresaw that in the future? Because since there literally are gods they actually legit foresaw the future, and they saw the coming of their friend being possessed by Majora's Mask, and thus they say, leave or we're going to kill you.
I thought that was pretty gruesome.
It was pretty gruesome. Which, and of course, we do talk about the celebration of the carnival time, which is actually another story that's told by Anju's grandmother, to where she actually says about it.
Sora doing so good with the light versus darkness, light versus death theories. Thank you, Daymare. I appreciate it.
Okay. So this is the celebration of the carnival of time according to Anju's grandmother, to where she says, and I quote, "The carnival of time. Each year, the season of harmony begins when the sun and moon are in alignment, paying homage to the way that both nature and time are tirelessly in the process of progressing. The carnival of time is when the peoples of the four worlds celebrate that harmony and request fruitfulness for the year." And then she goes on and says, "For ages, people have worn masks resembling the giants who are the gods of the four worlds. Now it has become a custom for each person to bring a handmade mask to the carnival of time. It is said that if a couple united on the day of the festival and dedicated the mask as a sign of their union, it would bring luck. The centerpiece of the carnival is the clock tower, and on the eve of all the festivities, the doors to its roof are opened. From atop the clock tower roof, a ceremony to call the gods is held and an ancient song is sung." Of course, this is probably referring to the Oath to Order, which is the calling of the song, to where as you go by throughout the game, Tattle actually translates after rescuing the four giants, saying, learn this song, call us, and then, remember our friend, which of course they're referring to the Skull Kid. So it's basically saying, that Anju's grandmother is definitely referring to the Oath to Order song. So where, according to the other story told by Anju's grandmother, she does say that, to where the giants say, if anything happens, call us.
Yeah.
And then back to the Carnival of Time story, she still says, all the festivities for the Carnival of Time are held so that we may ask the gods for a rich harvest in the year to come. So you see?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
It's pretty something, though. It's really
kind of sums it up pretty well.
It really sums it up about what the connection between the Skull Kid and, of course, the four giants. So it really does say a lot about.
Oh yeah,
both
it says a good bit.
It really does says a good bit. And now, I want to talk about the major important character, which of course we all know, and we all know this is coming, but this character definitely plays a very huge and important role in Majora's Mask. And Sora and I are going to be talking about none other than Mr. Creepy Motherfucker himself, the Happy Mask Salesman.
Actually, there's one character we did not talk about that we actually said we were going to discuss.
Oh, tell me.
We were also going to talk about who is the goddess of time.
Oh, yeah, let's do that first. Let's do that real quick. Okay, so, yeah, I do want to talk about that. Thank you for reminding me. So, we all know that in Ocarina of Time, Link is actually entrusted with the Ocarina of Time after retrieving it from Princess Zelda when she escapes on the White Horse with Impa to escape from the evil clutches of Ganondorf. And so in Majora's Mask, so the thing is, when Zelda teaches Link the Song of Time, she says, we won't be able to see each other a while, but I hope this song will make you think of me as you go open the Door of Time in the Temple of Time. But when Link actually picks it up back in Majora's Mask, there's a dialogue that says memories. Excuse me. It says that that memories of Princess Zelda are shown.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I do want to share that clip that Princess Zelda actually says to Link, which, of course, we will get into that about the discussion with the goddess of time, because I do feel like that this discussion is just, this one is very important, Sora.
Oh yeah, it is.
So I definitely will play this, and we'll go for what she has to say. You're already leaving Hyrule, aren't you? And then she says, even though it was only a short time, I feel like I've known you forever. I'll never forget the days we spent together in Hyrule. And I believe in my heart that a day will come when I shall meet you again. Until that day comes, please take this. The word I swear she entrusts him with the Ocarina of Time after Link warns her about Ganondorf and the King. I am praying that your journey be a safe one. If something should happen to you, remember this song. And then she says right here at the top, this song reminds me of us. She does say that.
Yeah, that does make sense, because if you remember, in Ocarina of Time, she kind of sort of teaches him the song. Through her telepathy type thing.
And then, this is also very important, Sora. This one right here in the dialogue after you learn the song of Majora's Mask, it says right here, and I quote, "This melody lingering on the edges of your mind is a song of memories of Princess Zelda."
Yep.
And then, of course, right here, I will say something right here. The goddess of time is protecting you. So, one thing I do want to talk about. Oh, I turned up my webcam again.
Good job. You're professional. 10 out of 10.
So, I do want to talk about this real quick. Which, by the way, this is going to be a major spoiler for all things Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
This will be a spoiler warning.
Yep, so if you have not played Tears of the Kingdom yet, you may want to not listen in on this part.
To mute. Okay. Yeah, I'll even put in the chat, I'll put in a spoiler warning, spiller warning, fuck.
Good job.
Spoiler warning incoming. Okay, so I just put in the chat right now, and then I'll say when it stopped. Okay, so when you go back in Tears of the Kingdom, Sora, you do remember at the beginning, to where after Link and Zelda actually traverse to the bottom caverns of Hyrule Castle, they see a mummified corpse of the Demon King Ganondorf, and thus we see the glowing hand that's holding Ganondorf down. Of course, the hand definitely belonging to Rauru. But from there, what was on the arm that fell off was one of the sacred stones, to where Princess Zelda actually picks it up. And then from there, when you do think about it, after Link's arm gets infected and then Link tries to catch her, Zelda actually gets transported back in time to Hyrule in the past, to where in a different era, so where both Rauru, a Zonai by the name of Rauru, and a Hylian, Sonia, are the king and queens of Hyrule. And from this timeline, it kind of does state to like how Queen Sonia was more like a reimagining, or kind of similar to like a reincarnation of the goddess Hylia herself. Because if you definitely look at Queen Sonia, she definitely has a lot of resemblance to the goddess Hylia.
This is true.
But the thing is, throughout in Tears of the Kingdom, we do know that Princess Zelda does play a role as the Sage of Time in this case. So where she actually is able to contact with Link while Link is in the future of Hyrule, where Princess Zelda, on the other hand, is in the past of Hyrule and being able to contact with Link in order to help him restore the Master Sword to its original form, which can be used to strike down Ganondorf. But what if I told you this now? What if I told you that way ahead, that this Goddess of Time was actually probably around during the events of Tears of the Kingdom, along with, back when King Rauru and Queen Sonia were the King and Queen of Hyrule, and around the era to where Princess Zelda got sent back into the past of Hyrule and playing a role as a Sage of Time.
Okay, I like where this is going.
What if I told you that this Goddess of Time is actually Princess Zelda from Tears of the Kingdom during her time spent in the past version of Hyrule, while she is residing there with King Rauru and Queen Sonia?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that?
That would actually make sense, because if you think about it, Zelda was set back in time to God knows how many years before Breath of the Wild, which takes place, during this portion, it takes place before everything. Where Zelda's at, specifically. So yeah, it would actually make sense.
It definitely would make a lot of sense, because Zelda played a huge role in Tears of the Kingdom as a Sage of Time, during this era, and to where during her time that she spent with the newly acclaimed King and Queen of Hyrule being Rauru and Sonia, Zelda mostly spent most of her time training with Rauru and Sonia, mostly with Sonia.
Mm-hmm.
To where Sonia was able to help Zelda being able to channel her powers and thus taking on the responsibility as a Sage of Time. So what if I told you that in Majora's Mask, when Princess Zelda said in the memories, and Link's up etched in Link's memories, where Zelda actually says, "May the Goddess of Time protect you," she probably might be referring to a long lost ancestor or descendant. And that is actually Princess Zelda during her time in the past in Tears of the Kingdom.
That's true. Because Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda was literally the Sage of Time.
She was.
Now, okay, so are you running on the assumption, or rather, are you running on the part where she's already the dragon, or before the dragon?
Before.
Before, okay. Yeah. Okay, I think I can see that.
It's really interesting to think about.
That is interesting to think about.
Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna type in Tears of the Kingdom spoiler, and then y'all can come out now. I was like, okay, spoiler warning, spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom's over. You can come out now.
Okay.
No more spoilers. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, now let's talk about the creepy Are we ready to talk about creepy mofo?
Yep, ready to talk about him. Let's go.
So, a character who played a really big, important role in Majora's Mask, which of course we all know is the Happy Mask Salesman.
I have some thoughts on this guy.
Oh, we have a lot of thoughts on him, and that's why we're here today, and we're going to talk about him. So, the thing is, Sora, about with the Happy Mask Salesman, is that we all know that he's originally a Highland who actually lived in the Hyrule Market back in Ocarina of Time, and thus, after Link actually talks to the guard that leads to Death Mountain, that's when he says, oh, have you been to the Happy Mask shop? Everybody's been talking about it. I want you to get hopefully, if you have time, you can get a special mask from my boy, which of course is the Keenan mask. And when you go there, that's when the store is open. And even before it's open, you can even go in there. There's somebody in there, and the guy is saying, there's a guy in there saying, I wonder when the store is open. I'm getting some strange vibes in the store.
Yep.
And then when you go there, that little customer is gone, and the Happy Mask Salesman is just there, and he just has that weird, big smile and like grin on his face. So he's like, "Hi, I'm going to kill you."
Rent my masks or die.
Pretty much. And he's like, I don't want to rent your mask. No, thank you. What did you say, motherfucker?
I would just be like, yeah, see ya. I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
I was like, I don't want to buy your creepy mask. What did you say, motherfucker? Sure, I'll buy one.
I'll take them all.
Good, wonderful.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we all know that he does live, and he definitely plays a role as a salesman. But I kind of do want to talk about this, Sora. I do want to talk about this with you. But I believe that our friend, the Happy Mouse Salesman, also happens to have an ancestor. I believe that he does have an ancestor. And I want to talk about it with you. So, you might know where I'm going from with this, and I will show you a picture.
Yeah, but I have an idea as to where you're going with this, actually.
So, I really do believe that the Happy Mouse Salesman is most likely a descendant or an ancestor of Rupin from Skyward Sword, the guy who actually runs the shop over in the bazaar in Skyloft. And you can tell, he has the same facial expression, when you're buying stuff from him, and he's always smiling all the time. And even when you don't buy anything from him, he kind of makes that little kind of angry face at you. And then when you go talk to him at night in his store, at night in his house, when you talk to him at night in his store, he definitely has like that unamused mark on his face, to where he says, and I quote, "Smiling all the time really becomes painful."
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty possible to think that this man is most likely an ancestor of the Happy Mouse Salesman. What do you think?
It's actually very likely. Like, pull up that picture right there where the two of them are standing side by side.
Okay. And
yeah,
you can see it, like the same face, the same wavy hair,
same smile, same ears.
Yep. The way how they're holding their hands.
Yep, literally the same.
It's literally all the same. So it could be possible, like this is actually the ancestor for the Happy Mouse Salesman. But going back to Happy Mouse Salesman, we do know that this gentleman, like, he has gone through great. He says that he's gone through great lengths to obtain Majora's Mask, because throughout an Ocarina of Time, when Ganondorf comes to Hyrule and attacks and invades it, everybody is like either dead or they scatter off into Kakariko Village, to where some of them actually survive. But when you go back, when you watch the credits for Ocarina of Time, you can see that the Happy Mouse Salesman is there at the party in Lon Ranch celebrating the death of Ganondorf. So we all know that, of course, most likely the Happy Mouse Salesman survived, but actually went into hiding. And thus, when you go on and to think about it, when he meets Link in the clock tower with the whole famous line, which is, Sora, would you like to say the famous line?
Do what? Sorry, kind of zoned out for a second.
No, I'm saying, like, would you like to quote the famous line that he says when when he first meets Link in the clock tower?
You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?
Yes. So, what do you think that means to you, Sora? That quote, when he first says that to Link before he goes into deep discussion.
It gives off immediate sus vibes.
It kind of does, though, because when you do think about it, so the Happy Mouse Salesman states to Link, that he's gone through he's gone through so much into spending on his travels. He's been a mask salesman. He's been known for collecting a lot of masks, and even states Link tells Link that he's been following him. Yeah, that's totally not creepy.
Yeah, I'm also going to go ahead and just point this out. He literally says, "Don't think me rude, but I've been following you." My thoughts on that is, yeah, let's not think the stalker is rude. Let's just not.
Yeah, it just kind of gives you some very mysterious vibes about him, to where he just follows Link throughout the Lost Woods and stumbles upon Termina, to where he actually doesn't leave the clock tower, but he stays in there. And then when you do think about it, he actually says, I actually need you to get my mask back. And he says, I'm actually a very busy man, as to where I'm actually going to be leaving in 3 days. So you have 3 days to get my mask back, otherwise terrible things will happen if you don't get it back.
Yep.
So the thing is, I kind of do feel like with the purpose of him being here, could you possibly think that this whole turn of events, to where the Happy Mask Salesman is trusting a young child to get an evil mask back after going to Green Leaves, do you think that this is more like a trial for Link actually pretty much created by the Happy Mask Salesman himself before he actually vanishes? Because at the end of Majora's Mask, we see when he gets his mask back, and he says, and I quote, "So the evil has left the mask after all." And then he even says, you have sure have made quite a lot of people happy with all the masks that you've been collecting. And then I'm trying to remember the quote said, but he says, "When there was a time, there was a parting." And this is around the time to where he actually vanishes and even tells Link to legit go home.
Yeah.
So the thing is, do you think this is all a trial? And do you think the Happy Salesman might be some kind of god or a ghost or a spirit? Because the thing is, at the end of Majora's Mask, he just straight up vanishes, and thus it could probably be a thing to where he probably goes back to the afterlife. Because I hate to get into a very dark topic, because how in some culture, when it comes to dead people, they say "Oh, give this back" or whatever, and then I can finally rest in peace.
I actually have my own little theory about the Happy Mask Salesman, because I was trying to piece all this together for a good long while. How was he able to get that mask? Why does he know the things he knows, like the Song of Healing, and of course all of the stuff about the hexing rituals that the ancient tribe did and stuff like that.
Yes.
I've been kind of putting a lot of thought into this, and I think I kind of have a little bit of a sound theory.
Okay, shoot.
I think the Happy Mask Salesman is a demon.
You think he's a demon? Okay, explain. Explain your argument.
Here's why I feel like he's a demon. For one, he knows way too much about Majora's Mask as a whole. He knows about the tribe. He knows about the hexing rituals. He knows exactly what happened to the mask, that it was sealed in shadow. Plus, a couple other things. He knows the Song of Healing, which is a very mysterious song in itself. And aside from his face, of course, his face kind of gives off that demonic vibe. There's just this whole eerie presence with him. Not only that, but he says he went to great lengths to get that legendary mask, right?
Yeah, he did.
My take is, how on earth could a mere mortal go to great lengths to go into shadow where a demonic mask is sealed away to retrieve it? That is not something a mere mortal can do. You would have to be some kind of demonic being to even be able to go that far to grab a mask like that.
Exactly. And then the thing is, what I'm just gonna probably spitball here, but you know, so do you remember in Twilight Princess to where Link actually stumbles upon the Mirror of Twilight, and like how he's a complete mortal and actually enters the Twilight Realm?
Yeah.
With Midna? So what have I told you is after we talked about further like how we actually theorized that the Tweely, Midna's tribe, were the ones who were responsible for creating Majora's Mask, one with a few shadows. What if somehow along his travels, the Happy Mask Salesman was able to stumble upon, of course, you know, the Arbiter's grounds around his travels, thus encountering the Mirror of Twilight and being able to enter within the Twilight Realm, and thus, you know, from there, pretty much saying we fear its power, like, you know, saying to Happy Mask Salesman, we fear its power, please take it away from here as far away as possible. So it could be possible that maybe for some reason during his travels, the Happy Mask Salesman pretty much stumbled upon, of course, the Mirror of Twilight, thus entering into the Twilight Realm, and then being gifted by the Tweely, saying to like keep this mask into a place to where no other evil can touch it. And this is probably way before, you know, Zant wanted to get his power, because we all know that Zant, before he actually dethroned Midna from the throne to where he actually usurped the throne, he uses the power that it was given to Ganondorf after Ganondorf got transported to the mirror to the Twilight Realm after the Light Sages were trying to execute him. And thus from there, you know, Zant was able to discover the powers of Ganondorf, to where he says, you know, I came upon the powers after meeting with a literal god. So, but before all that, I feel like, you know, what if again, the Happy Mask Salesman on his travels stumbled upon the Gerudo Desert, found the Mirror of Twilight, was given the mask, and was able to keep it for himself, you know, to prevent anyone with an evil desire to touching it, because he pretty much said, because it's been said, those who touch the mask and those who have an evil desire will be possessed by its power.
Yep. But also, there's a couple other reasons why I had the theory about him being a demon.
Okay, shoot.
It's aside from the fact that he already knows the stuff he knows, if you'll notice, he didn't really seem too fazed by the fact that he was holding a demonic mask, at all.
Yep.
So I think that kind of shows it a little bit as well, because the mask doesn't really affect him. Which, granted, yeah, he wasn't wearing the mask, but let's put it like this. If you look at the end of the game where the 4 moon children are, and of course Majora on the moon as well, just before you go fight him, you see all the kids there wearing each of the remains masks.
Of the bosses, yep.
And the kid in the center wearing Majora's mask. Underneath those masks, they all have the face of the Happy Mask Salesman. I do not buy that as coincidence.
Oh, and speaking of which, speaking of that kid, remember that pose I told you about, the Skull Kid earlier, when he was hiding under that stump in the rain?
Yep, same pose.
Do you still have that pose etched in your mind?
Yep, I do.
So, look at this, Sora. Look at this pose. Look familiar?
Yep, as I just said, same exact pose.
It's
literally the same pose.
And then, of course, I do want to find something, though. But there actually was... I don't know if you remember, Sora, but do you recall back in the day when Majora's Mask 3D came out, they had this little blog to where the Happy Mask Salesman can actually answer questions about the game itself?
Yeah, especially with all the different masks, because literally if you talk to him while wearing a mask, he can tell you all about it. where it came from, what it does, so on and so forth. He'll give you like a little story about it.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna find that thing right now about where you're able to I'm trying to find that thing to where you can actually ask him questions, though.
Yeah. While you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and explain my thing a little bit more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so as I just stated, literally all of those kids on the moon had the same face as the Happy Mask salesman.
Yep.
Which, of course, I'm pretty sure because of the fact that, you know, Majora is a demon, and the moon is basically his little lair. I believe all of those little kids are also demons.
Yep. It's very interesting to talk about, you know, if they are actually are demons or not, or they're like entities, you know.
Well, the main reason I'm saying that I think they are demons is because of the fact that Majora himself is a demon possessing Majora's mask. And you are basically within the giant moon. The thing that's created by Majora's mask itself to destroy everything, which also simultaneously serves as his demonic lair. Right?
Yeah.
And also, going back to the kids themselves, each of them give you like a little trial mini dungeon to go through. Which is, of course, another test put before Link as like a trial by the demon. Or by Majora, basically.
Yeah. I can't find it.
That's all good. For those who are wondering about it, I would encourage you all to just go check it out within the game. Like, if you had the game, go put on a mask, talk to the Happy Mask salesman, and see what all he says.
Oh, I can actually get that right now.
Hey, there you go.
I can actually get that. And the thing is, you know, we were talking about that earlier.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just like, he definitely,
Okay, I don't know.
Oh, I found it.
I don't know if it's Discord or me, but like Discord keeps cutting you out on my end. Hold up.
Is it cutting me out? Oh shit.
It could be that my headset was dying.
Oof. Yeah. So
I just plugged it in, so
okay.
Should be all right.
So one thing I do want to talk about is that I do want to talk about like the quotes that he actually says that when you put on the different masks for the all the masks in general.
Right. 999 rupees. Only possible on an emulator.
But okay, so I'm gonna skip this. The transformation mask.
Yeah.
Because he literally says the same thing, like, "Oh, you better hurry up."
Yeah, but each transformation mask he says the same thing.
Yeah, and it honestly goes back to what he says, because like think about it. He says about the postman's hat, like he says like how, you know, it is filled with the joy of freedom, and that mostly he's talking about like how, you know, like, you know, the postman, you know, felt like that he couldn't do anything because he mostly was limited to being stuck to a schedule, you know, because that's mostly because his brain was like, you know, his brain was telling him like, you know, like, oh, I can't do this, I'm on a schedule, so I'm gonna have to do all of that instead, you know, instead of that. And then of course when he actually when he takes off his hat, he's like, you know, he gives you that sign like, I'm free now. Zora?
I'm here.
Okay, there he is. Okay, there you are. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I really like these comments though. Like when he looks at the all night mask, he says like, oh, that looks like an expensive mask. You know, because that's definitely resemblance like, oh, you paid 500 rupees to get for that mask. And then what he says about and then the blast mask, it says, you know, and it's kind of interesting like how he's able to sense all the masks that you've collected in the game, like how he says about the blast mask, like saying it is filled with feelings of gratitude, you know, in reference to, you know, to saving the old lady who got attacked by Seikon. The stone mask, where she says it is filled with appreciation for things that go unnoticed. So when you actually find Shiro the guard, who actually is invisible on the outskirts of Ikana.
Yep.
And then, of course, you have the Great Fairy Mask, which he says, that is quite rare. Normally, you wouldn't be able to get one of those. And then,
yep.
Kita Mask, he says, it carries a lot of nostalgia. It was popular with children long ago. And also, one fun fact I want to talk about this. This is actually an Easter egg, by the way. Of course,
yep. I was just gonna say yes. Same one from Ocarina of Time.
Yep. It's actually, of course, we all know this is actually a reference to Pikachu from Pokemon.
Yeah, because the Keaton mask was literally themed after Pikachu's face.
Yep. That is actually true. And then, with the other mask, the Bremen mask, to where it says, if you have that mask, you would, wait, okay, what do you say? He comes back. He says, if you have that, then it would appear you have the qualities of a leader. And that goes on with the Guru man, to where it's like, so it's saying like, oh, why couldn't I be the leader of this troop? Why did a dog have to be a leader? That's why I stole it.
Yep.
And then the bunny hood, you know, it's filled with kindness towards animals in terms of like when Link had to like play the song from the Bremen mask to turn the little Kuko chicks into full-fledged Kukos. Don Gero's mask. That mask has a very operatic feel about it. You know, like in terms of like the Frog's Choir in the Mountain Village. Mask of Sense, where he says, you've done well to get that mask. Look at its condition. I can tell that its previous owner was neat and tidy. And then Romani mask, he says, that is a nice mask. It is a sentimental item that exudes a lot of maturity.
Yep.
And then when you go to the circus leader's mask given to you by Gorman, he says, it is filled with the feelings of tenderness of left behind in the back of one's heart. Meaning that, you know, he misses the old days of being a farmer just like his brothers. To which, of course, you know, they were competition for Romani and her family.
Yep.
And then with Cafe Mask, where Happy Mask Salesman's like, this is the worry of a concerned mother is expressed quite well in that mask. And then Couple Mask, you know, this is a truly very fine mask. It is overflowing with powerful feelings and love of gratitude.
Yep.
And then the Sheikah Mask, the Mask of Truth, he says, you have a frightful mask, but being able to see into people's hearts and minds seems useful. And then Kamaro's mask, it is filled with the joy of a teacher has in finding a good student, where Kamaro passes it on saying, teach this to someone else and please heal my soul. Now, this is the one I was telling you about earlier, the Gibdo mask, to where he says, it is filled with the love of a father and child.
Yep.
And then the Garo mask, if you have that mask, you must be one with quite a bit of courage, because when you go through Ikana Valley, Tattle actually says, you know, I can definitely like sense blood and stuff like that. Don't you have a mask who can actually speak with the dead, to where by putting that on, you're able to talk to the members of the Garo, who kind of were a really mysterious tribe.
So just one little thing about the Garo's mask. I hate the design of it in the 3DS version.
Yeah, it actually is the Garo Master.
Yep, I hate its design in the 3DS version.
Same. With Captain's Hat, Happy Mask Salesman says it earns the respect and the sworn allegiance of legions of soldiers. This is during, of course, against, the war in Arcana,
Yeah, the war in Icona, and of course against Twin Mold.
Yeah, but honestly, it kind of says a lot to where, what he actually says about all of this. Because when you actually go to the ending, and I'm actually going to take you guys to the ending of Majora's Mask.
Take me to the ending, ooh.
I'll take you to the ending.
Ooh. Totally not making fun of Firebolt right now.
Okay.
Sorry, Fire.
Oh my god.
Just kidding, I'm not sorry at all.
Okay, so right here, Sora, so check this out. So he says right here, oh, so the evil has left the mask after all.
Yep.
And then he goes on to say, well, now, I finally have it back. Since I am in the midst of my travels, I must bid you farewell. I'm going to let the cutscene play to where he's leaving. Shouldn't you be returning home as well? Now, alright, so check this out, Sora. This quote is important, and we'll talk about it in a minute. Let's check this out. He says, and I quote, whenever there is a meeting, a parting is sure to follow. However, that parting need not last forever. Whether a parting be forever or merely for a short time, that is up to you. With that, please excuse me. And then he stops again and says, but my, you sure have managed to make quite a number of people happy. The masks you have are filled with happiness. This is truly a good happiness. He does not just any happiness, he says, but a good happiness.
A good happiness.
And then it kind of goes back to what the Moon Children say. To where they actually say the same thing, could you possibly be a masked salesman? And they kind of go on about these strange topics. They kind of ask some very mature-ish, topics where it's saying, friends, what are they to you? Or what kind of mask do you have on your face? What does your actual mask look like?
Also, one of the topics, actually, if you think about it, is do the things you do in the mask you wear make people happy?
It kind of does true, because when you do think about it, it kind of goes back to with Skyward Sword, when you're fulfilling tasks with people, they actually praise Link with gratitude, thus giving them the gratitude crystals. And going through so much trial and error to get all these masks, Link actually goes through so much as to being able to obtain all these containing all these masks, and even the Happy Mask Salesman gives Link some encouragement in the game, to where, of course, where I say this and I quote, believe in yourself, believe in your strengths. And actually, Dennis actually is a note to where the hero Shade from Twilight Princess actually says that to his descendant, the hero of Twilight, to where he tells him, among his teachings, believe in yourself, believe in your strengths. And it was definitely was a life lesson that the hero of Time learned from the Happy Mask Salesman. But what did you think about that quote, Sora, where he says, whether there's a parting, there's a time, And he says, at the end, that is up to you. And then you sure have made quite a number of people happy. A good happiness.
It's kind of a hard one to piece together, to be honest. My whole thing with that is, the only thing it kind of really tells me is he kind of knew how this would start and how it would end. If you think about it in that context.
So it kind of feel like maybe like the Happy Mouse salesman maybe plays like as the role of like sort of like similar to a fortune teller, to where he even says at the beginning, you've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?
Because because if you think,
No, go on.
I was gonna say, if you think about it, he kind of does set this up in a way, because he puts Link on this whole journey, knowing how it would start, and he basically acted like he knew how it would end from the get-go the moment Link got the mask back. And him saying those lines at the end of the game just kind of more so confirms that in my mind.
Exactly. And then of course, around this, throughout Link's travels, Link definitely tends to make a lot of people happy. To where, for example, to Link actually goes to a kind of canyon to go save a possessed father, being possessed by the Gibdo, to restoring the love of a ghost composer, Sharp, after selling his soul to the devil, according to his brother Flat. But
good job.
But of course, you didn't. But after playing the song with Storms, which Flat says, this is definitely will resemble my tears because of what happened to you. Even, of course, Sharp even says, you do not fear the dead, but you are still part of the living. And then, saying oh, the masked one actually tricked me into all of this. But think about all the people that he's helped. He's helped Romani and a bunch of other stuff. So it kind of went to show that the Happy Mouse salesman actually knew what was going on with all of this.
Definitely.
So in conclusion to him, do you think he might be like a ghost or some sort of spirit or god or demon?
Still think he's a demon.
He probably could be a demon, though. It's really is interesting to think about. And then, because, not only that, because, again, Link actually helped out a lot of people. Even learning about the ancient battle of Ikana, going back to, Egos do Ikana, and, learning about, the war that actually happened that long time ago, and does even Egos do Ikana, the ancient king of Ikana himself, teaches Link the elegy of emptiness, saying that this resembles a soldier with an empty shell or something like that.
Yeah. Also, why is it that when I hear soldier, I think of freaking Final Fantasy VII?
I don't know. Do you want to play Final Fantasy VII?
I did recently beat Crisis Core.
Ooh, okay. And then we did talk about the Moon Children, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so there is one final thing I do want to talk about in closing, though. I do want to talk about this, and this is very, 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 very interesting. I want to talk about. I want to talk about them, and I'm talking about the aliens or the invasion that happens in Romani Ranch, because when you do think about it, when you go to Romani Ranch, you see that Romani herself is actually carrying a bow, and of course, with that, we all know that little bows, for kids, are mostly our toys to play with. But she told Link, she says, oh, I'm not playing. Oh, I'm actually not playing. I'm actually am training to where she says, them are coming. And the word they say on the first day at 2 a.m., she said that she sees a bright red light come in, and thus they actually want to take the cows for themselves. Now, purposely, I kind of thought this at first, that I felt like that this probably has something to do with the Gorman brothers, since of course they were rivals to Romani Ranch. But to me, I don't think they're that powerful or capable of calling aliens to ruin their shit.
No, I don't think so.
And actually, when you do think about it, Sora, I want to share this with you guys, because I feel like this is definitely based on this whole story is based on something that's actually true. I'm actually going to share this with you, Sora, and you guys. So check this out, Sora.
Looking.
See this? So the thing is, this was based on a real story that is actually called The Flatwoods Monster. So this actually takes place back in Virginia, back in 1952, to where two boys are playing on a. I'm trying to remember how it goes, but they play on a farm, and it's in the middle of the night. And then around that time, one of the boys actually sees a tall figure, to where it's supposed to be it actually has like an outfit, like a big long outfit, a cloak, and beady yellow eyes. And when you do think about it, doesn't that look kind of similar to them from Romani Ranch who actually attack him?
Yeah, that's because of the fact that this invasion with Romani Ranch was actually based on this.
Exactly. And then, but in an interview by Mr. IG Onuma actually says that the only reason why he didn't confirm about that has to do with the real story of the Flatwoods Monster. He was saying in an interview that he just wanted something cool and spooky in a game. And that he was saying how aliens at the time and like ancient lore and stories about aliens were popular in Japan.
Yep.
But I mostly think that this is actually based on a real, true story about the mystery of the Flatwoods Monster. Because when you look at that, and then when you go here, and when you go to the aliens, like the design for the aliens, don't they look very similar, Sora, looking at this picture?
Yeah, they do.
It's very fucking creepy to think about. And what's actually saying that in this real story, so it said that that one of the boys actually got attacked by the monster, to where he actually got really, really sick. And then when you do think about it, that kind of sounds similar to what happens to if Romani actually gets captured by the aliens, because on day 2, if you don't save the ranch, Romani actually comes back at 6 p.m. and she's all very confused. It looks like her brain has been wiped out, and even to a point to where she's shaking her head in frustration, not trying to remember what happened, And the thing is, the same situation actually happened to one of the boys in the story about the Flatwoods Monster.
That is true.
Isn't that kind of creepy?
That is creepy. That is very creepy.
Yeah, let me actually find that cutscene about what happens to Romani. Okay, so that's on... Okay. And honestly, when you look at this scene, Sora, it's actually really, really sad about what happens to Romani when she wanders back.
Oh yeah, it is.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and play the cutscene real quick.
Okay.
So when you go back here, oh, it's actually at 5 o'clock, not 6 o'clock. So you see right here that Romani is trying to find her way back home, and she's struggling. Like, look at the expression on her face. Like, she looks like she's so out of it and doesn't remember half of, exactly what happened. And when you speak to her, she just says ... Like, she doesn't say a thing. Like, this is just really, really sad. Like, look at her, dude.
Yeah. It's honestly very depressing.
And then, of course, yeah, she's still trying to find her way back home. And then, yeah, because, you see, she's going the wrong way. And then when you actually go inside, you can see that Cremia, her sister, is upset.
Yep.
You know,
she done messed up.
Yeah, because Cremia didn't believe her sister, you know?
No, she didn't.
And then when you actually go upstairs to the room, to what is actually showing in the clip, it actually shows that, you know, that Romani's actually put to sleep in the bed. Like, you can definitely see the poor thing sleeping. And that's, damn, dude. That is so sad.
Yep, the smile that she had is gone too.
And yeah, and even, so when you go on the third day, like the third day after all this happened, and when you talk to her, you can tell, like, you know, she's still out of it. Like, she's shaking her head furiously, like, kind of like what she's showing right now.
Yeah.
When you talk to her, she says, "Huh? You practice?" Like, she seems confused about the practicing, like she forgets all about it. And she's like, "What is this practice for?" Romani can't remember. She even says that. Like, holy crap. That is... Go ahead, Sora.
I was gonna say, one thing that makes this really sad is you can literally see the depression in her face.
It's just really depressing because, like, Majora's Mask is just filled to the brim with so many things going on. So many sadness to where people are dying, people are getting sick, people are getting abducted by aliens and all that stuff. Like, it just definitely shows a lot, like, how mysterious a game like Majora's Mask can actually be.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's pretty good. But, I think we've tackled a lot of things here, haven't we, Sora?
Oh yeah, we did. We tackled a lot.
So by the way, Sora, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on this journey as we unravel the mysteries of Majora's Mask.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, I will put a link in the description on YouTube. So, guys, please go follow Sora on Twitch, though. If you guys love all things Zelda, Kingdom Hearts, and if you want to meet somebody who is a really big fan of Paper Mario, you might want to give this man a follow. But also, be sure to follow your boy Kokiri here. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good jazz, as we really do appreciate it. And we do hope you did have a very excellent Spooktober month. Even if you're not watching us in October, we really do appreciate you coming in to watch us and just learning about the unraveling mysteries of Majora's Mask. Thank you so much.